Hey guys, welcome back to another episode from the Dark Side. I'm your host Sherry, and today we're discussing the 2014 disappearance of Kenny Veach, also known as Snakebitmgee on YouTube. Kenny was a very experienced solo hiker who lived near Las Vegas, Nevada. One day on one of his hikes, he had found this cave that was shaped like the letter M. He always explores the caves he finds. But when he got near this particular one, he said his body started to vibrate and he had a bad feeling, so he left quickly. He was quoted as saying, "I solo hike across mountaintops that most people wouldn't dare go. I've been in more caves than I can count. I play with rattlesnakes for fun. But this one particular cave was beyond anything I had ever encountered." When he told others about it, they urged him to go back. Some even doubted his story. He goes back to try to locate it and was never seen again. This is episode 78, The Disappearance of Kenny Veach. Kenny disappeared in 2014. Just some things to remind you back to that year. The top song was Happy by Pharrell Williams. There was that ice bucket challenge craze that was sweeping social media. For some reason I didn't do it, and I don't remember why. But I just remember just watching everybody else's videos. Betty White was awarded the Guinness World Record for longest TV career for a female entertainer. Godzilla the movie was released in theaters and only featured 8 minutes of Godzilla in the entire movie. McDonald's opened their first restaurant in Vietnam. And lastly, the Winter Olympics took place in Sochi, Russia. Kenny Veach is 47 years old at the time of this story in 2014. Kenny is a off-the-wall kind of dude, but not the kind that gives you weird vibes or anything like that. He's kind of an eccentric type, and I mean that in an endearing way. Kenny seems hilarious and friendly, and people who knew him were lucky to have him in their lives. He has a girlfriend named Sharon and a daughter named Vicky. Vicky was a teenager at the time of this story. Kenny was almost like a big kid. If he was taking a walk and saw a swing set, he'd run over and jump on one of the swings. He had a lot of energy and he was a fast talker. Kenny's life hasn't been easy. When he was in his 20s, his father committed suicide. Kenny was the one who actually came home and found him, so that scarred him for life, as I imagine it would anyone. Kenny worked as a service technician at a coffee company for 17 years. He quit his job just 1 year before this story takes place. The reason was because he didn't want to work anymore. He saved up his retirement and he said he wanted to live a free life and do whatever he wanted to do. Kenny made a lot of inventions that he wanted to pitch to Shark Tank. I'm not sure if any of them really took off. One was that he wanted to be a cowboy interior designer. Basically, he comes to your house and decorates it with natural Nevada artifacts and trinkets. I saw some of his work, and it really is cool. Totally not my style, but there's definitely people who would love to have this desert vibe in their home. Kenny has a YouTube channel where he uses the handle Snakebitmgee. He only has 5 videos uploaded, and 4 of them were his pitches to Shark Tank, and one of them was titled MK Video. Kenny didn't post a lot, but he was extremely active in the comments, especially in the hiking community. A lot of this episode will contain actual comments that Kenny himself typed, so that way you can hear his story and background from the man himself, which is cool because I don't normally get to do that. Kenny was a solo hiker who lives in Nevada. He loves to hike and find caves to explore. Kenny does things his own way and is known to be somewhat reckless while hiking. About 99% of the time, he hikes alone. He takes minimal supplies with him, very little water and food. He doesn't even like to use a compass or any kind of GPS. Other hikers look at him like he's crazy. It's really dangerous to be out in the desert without water and supplies, but Kenny seems to love it. Almost like he's pushing his limits as far as he can. He's very confident in his abilities, but also described as cocky. Kenny said on YouTube in one comment, I have been doing this sort of thing for over 20 years. I go where no one goes, and I never take anyone with me. I find skulls of all shapes and sizes, and occasionally I find really old animal traps. I hike over mountaintop after mountaintop and sleep on peaks under the stars. Sometimes I have to scale giant cliffs to get myself out of a jam, but I always make it back. I'm beat up and tired, and my pack is almost always heavier than when I left. I had to be rescued only one time by a helicopter. I had blown out my left leg at the top of a mountain, and I only had a cup of water left to get me 20 miles back to my truck. It was also over 100 degrees out, so I have a very good safety record. Kenny commented on a YouTube video, and he claimed to have found a cave around Nellis Air Force Base in southern Nevada. He says it was shaped like the letter M, but that wasn't the weirdest thing. He says, "This ain't nothing. I am a long-distance hiker. One time during one of my hikes out by Nellis Air Force Base, I found a hidden cave. The entrance to the cave was shaped like a perfect capital M. I always enter every cave I find, but as I began to enter this particular cave, my whole body began to vibrate. The closer I got to the cave entrance, the worse the vibrating became. Suddenly I became very scared and hightailed it out of there. That was one of the strangest things that ever happened to me." So people began doubting him and even egging him on to prove that he was actually there. They tell him, go back and find it. Kenny took these things personally and even argued in the comments about what he saw. In fact, this back and forth about the M Cave went on for 4 months. He said in one reply, quote, I solo hike across mountaintops that most people wouldn't dare go. I have been in more caves than I can count. I play with rattlesnakes for fun. But this one particular cave was beyond anything I had ever encountered. Someday I will go back, and I will bring a weapon with me. All I had at the time was a knife and a wrist rocket. He also said in another comment, maybe it's just a strange-looking cave that has a mountain lion living in it. It should be sometime this week. I will have my 9mm with me this time, just in case. Last time I was unarmed. It's a 10-hour hike, no trails, very dangerous terrain. The mountain is located right next to a bombing range. I have found some giant empty rounds of ammo before. I have just been waiting for the Vegas weather to cool down. It's not the kind of hike one would want to do during the summer. Someone asked another day if he had found it yet. Did he get pictures or video? He says, I got back from a 10-hour hike yesterday. I completely searched the whole damn canyon, and I couldn't relocate the cave. I found a tarantula, a tortoise, and a ram, but I couldn't find the cave. I don't know if you've ever climbed up and down a mountain for 10 hours, but it wore me out. All I got out of it were some nice photos and a big bag full of piñon nuts. This is the perfect time of the year to find piñon nuts. Thanks for asking. He uploaded a video of himself discussing the M Cave and his quest to find it. It's 21 minutes long, and I urge you to go watch it. It's on the Snakebitmgee YouTube channel. That is Kenny Veach. When people doubted his story, he gave the longest reply he could by saying, quote, You're welcome to your opinion. I have a video of the hike if you'd like to see it. I hiked completely around a large mountain. Do you even have a clue what that's like? There are hundreds of caves up and down the canyons I was in. I overestimated my ability to find the one I was looking for. It's rare for me to take the same hike twice. I don't use trails, and I cover extremely long distances. If you think you can do better, go for it. I have to warn you, though, it's brutal on the feet. I often will lose 1 or 2 toenails after one of my longer hikes. The nails take such a punishment that they turn black and fall off. If you've never hiked solo for 15 miles in a mountainous region and then climbed to the top of a mountain you never have seen before, spent the night on the peak and climbed down the next morning and then climbed another tall mountain the next day and spent the night again, then hiked 15 to 20 miles all the way back to your vehicle the following day, worn out with little to no water left, carrying a heavier pack than when you left, then barely having enough strength to climb your stairs when you get home and slide into a hot tub of water to rejuvenate yourself. You have no room to speak. Yes, this is what I do for fun. No, I did not find the damn cave. I'm only a little disappointed. I can always go back and try again. I guess I need to start posting the videos of my hikes and of me catching rattlesnakes and critters. Then people like you would stop doubting me. I honestly don't understand why people are doubting him. Who gives a shit if he's making it up or not? I don't think he is. Kenny seems like a genuine dude who isn't going to lie for clout. I don't understand why people were tormenting him like they were. But Kenny would always fire right back, and you can tell he's getting upset at times. It wasn't all bad stuff. Some people told him how he was a brave dude and did the right thing by getting out of there. Some people commended him for his solo trips and his ability to hike such long distances. One of the comments that stood out from the rest, a user said, "No, do not go back there. If you find that cave entrance, don't go in. If you do, you won't get out." Kenny asks, "What makes you say that?" And the user didn't reply. He eventually deleted his comment. This could be someone just trolling him, or maybe they know something that we don't, because eventually Kenny will go missing. Kenny told users, "I'm going out again this weekend. I will be hiking solo for 3 days. I plan on covering about 40 miles. I will cross through the same canyon where I found the cave. If I don't find it again, I will just continue hiking over mountain after mountain to the north of the canyon. I dare any of the people that like to run their mouths on here to join me. My hikes are brutal on the body. After one of my long hikes, some of my toenails turn black and fall off. I lose about 13 pounds of body weight. It takes me about 3 days to recover from the abuse I put myself through, but I love every minute of it. There's no guarantee that I will find that cave again. The region that I cover is vast. There are many caves. I've been in hundreds of them. The M cave is the only cave I ever feared going inside. I really want to find it again." On November 10th, 2014, Kenny packed a quick overnight bag. He said goodbye to his girlfriend and headed out to find this mysterious M-shaped cave he had spotted once before in the Mojave Desert. He says he'll be gone for 3 days. He wants to finally find this thing and capture his recording and prove to social media that he wasn't lying. The Mojave Desert is known to be the hottest, driest place in North America. It's nearly 50,000 square miles. This place has high mountains and deep valleys. Temperatures can reach 135 degrees Fahrenheit or 58 degrees Celsius. There's so many caves along with abandoned mine shafts. Kenny is near Nellis Air Force Base, which is some distance from Area 51, but they still kind of claim it. But the way Kenny described the vibrations he felt when he went to enter the cave makes one believe that Area 51 may be involved here. Definitely not somewhere a beginner hiker would want to be, but Kenny is experienced. Even though he's reckless and carries minimal supplies, this time is different. Kenny is packing his 9mm just in case he comes across something bad if he does find the M cave. Also, he doesn't know if he's going to come across someone bad during the trip. Kenny says the mountain is located right next to a bombing range and he's found lots of ammo shells. One day, a YouTuber posted in one of the comment threads, "Guys, Snakebitmgee is missing. He set out on a hike to find that M cave and no one has heard from him since." Since YouTube doesn't show exactly what day a comment is posted, we don't know how long Kenny had been missing when this user posted it. This person was just scouring the Nevada Missing Persons website and saw Kenny's picture and wanted to let everyone know. We learned that Kenny's girlfriend Sharon had reported him missing. The police waited a few days because they are aware that Kenny is a solo traveler who may just be taking his time. Air and ground searches took place, but there was no sign of Kenny. They did find his cell phone outside of a mine shaft, but nothing was on it that would indicate his whereabouts. And yes, the obvious question, the mine shaft was checked and he wasn't in it. His car was located where he had began at the beginning of the trailhead, so he didn't drive off somewhere. Remember, I discussed that Kenny brought his video camera with him on his trips? This is how he documented his findings. This time it would be especially important because he needs to be able to show people that he found the M cave if he finds it. He also said that if he didn't find it, he would still capture his hike and all the animals and the other caves that he encounters. Well, he didn't actually bring his camera on this trip, according to Sharon, so that's not a good sign. We also know Kenny has a 9mm on him, which was never located, nor was his sleeping bag. Kenny Veach is still missing in 2023. Groups of hikers still scour the desert to try to find him, including one man who I will discuss in a little bit. He did find the M cave that he believes Kenny was talking about. It was right where Kenny said it would be. I'll let you guys know what happened here soon. But first, let's get into some of the theories. There's a chance that Kenny could have been a victim of foul play. This is the Mojave Desert. One interview I watched with a hiker said he's been out hiking there late at night and once stumbled upon a person with a pickup truck and a shovel, and the person was digging. There's plenty of crime in the desert. Most hikers, especially in this area, are known to carry a gun. Kenny did have his gun this time, so he had a way to protect himself. As well, if he came across a mountain lion or some other wild animal and felt threatened, he could have shot it, unless it was a rattlesnake, which I imagine would be difficult to precisely shoot at. But Kenny loves to handle snakes. His user handle on YouTube was Snakebitmgee. If he was bitten by a rattlesnake and died from the poisonous venom, he likely would have been found. It also doesn't explain why his phone and some coins were sitting neatly outside the mine shaft. There's always a chance that Kenny became disoriented and just lost his way. Kenny, as I've mentioned multiple times, didn't like bringing a lot of supplies with him. He liked to bring water, but pretended like he didn't have it with him. He would ration it out until he knew his body was in danger and then take a drink. That's not a good way to do it. There have been missing hikers in the past that were found deceased with almost full bottles of water on them. They save their water until they really need it and then take a drink, which likely shocks their body. The desert is a much harder place to search than people really think. I always thought it would be easier to find someone in a desert, but it's not. Look at Daniel Robinson's case, who went missing in the desert in Arizona. It took days just to find his car. Kenny had this video, and it was so incredibly sad to watch. It almost made me tear up. He was happy and upbeat in the video, but you can tell he was sad. Almost like a Robin Williams type situation. He has this home that was pretty nice, and he lived in it for a long time. He decorated it with beautiful items he found on his hiking trips, and it was done really well. Well, he was giving this real estate pitch in the video. Basically, he wants to sell his house, and he's offering it to someone at a discounted price. The catch is that Kenny would live there and be the caretaker. It's not some mansion or anything, just a normal house that someone who buys it likely wouldn't need a caretaker, but this was Kenny's offer. It'll be your house, but he'll live in it and he'll take care of the yard and the cleaning and everything else that it needs. To me, this is a desperate move. He's out of money, he doesn't want to lose his house, so he's going to do whatever he has to do to keep it. What I'm getting at here is that the theory that police believe, as well as Kenny's girlfriend Sharon, is that Kenny pretended he was heading out for this mysterious end cave when he was actually going to go out there and commit suicide. Sharon, Kenny's girlfriend, went onto his video where he discussed the M cave, and she posted a lengthy comment, and what she said was shocking. I'll read it, and it's pretty long. She says, "I am the girlfriend that Kenny spoke of in the video. There are so many posts. I had no idea until a friend let me know. So many people are wondering what happened and guessing different things. You are heartfelt about the sadness around what has happened with Kenny. He has not been found, and I feel that he will probably not be found for many, many months, if ever. I want to share with you what I know and feel about what happened, so it might bring you some closure and understanding in your own lives." Kenny absolutely loved hiking in the desert. It was his very, very favorite thing to do. We hiked and camped together all over the Nevada desert, sometimes 9 hours a day. We found many abandoned mining towns, usually referred to as ghost towns by Nevada hikers. We explored many caves and mine shafts. We were always careful how we explored them. But Kenny was a bit more daring than I was. We wore snake guards, sun protected clothing, used walking sticks, brought enough water and food for the hiking hours, and had extra water and food in the car. He rarely drank water at all. We took wonderful pictures of all sorts of things we saw: rusted cars, old falling down buildings, cemeteries, mines, wild animals, tarantulas, scorpions, trees, cactuses, and flowers. Our deserts are beautiful if you have a love for deserts. They are not spooky scary, but you do have to be careful of the terrain and, of course, bring enough water and food. We always were excited when we saw desert wildlife, like the bighorn sheep in the video. They are stunningly beautiful to see in person in our desert. We would stand quietly to watch them as long as possible. I was so very excited to see the one he filmed in the video. I want you to know that I do not think Kenny had an accident. I believe he committed suicide. He battled depression for many years and would not take medication or see a doctor. He quit his job a little more than a year before he disappeared. He wanted to see if he could sell his inventions and do what he called cowboy interior design for homes. He bought his first home 5 years ago and had an amazing ability of decorating in this style. He was not successful in getting a business going and was running out of money after a year of not working. He no longer wanted to work in a job for someone else, and as his money decreased, he became more and more depressed. He did not look for another job. In early October, with seeing his depression increase, I said to him, "You aren't going to pull a Robin Williams on me, are you?" This is when he opened up more about his depression and his thoughts, much of his life, about suicide. His father committed suicide when Kenny was in his early 20s. When I asked him the question, he answered me with, "If I decide to do it, you will be okay because you are good at the law of allowing." He asked me what I would think of him if he did it. He also said that if he decided to do it, no one will ever find me. It would be easy to do something like this in our desert with a number of natural caves and mines. He could hike many miles in a day, and there is no telling where or how far he could have hiked during his 3-day, 2-night solo hike. When he did not call me after the third day of being gone, I called missing persons. The search for him was started within a couple days of my call. Over 30 search and rescue team members searched 3 different times on foot. 1 helicopter flyover was done, and there was no trace of Kenny or any of his camping things. They found his car in the area that I told them it would be. They did find his cell phone by the mine shaft in the video. The mine shaft was only about a 4-hour hike from his car. It is my feeling that he left it behind so that he could not be tracked from the GPS in it. He also did not take his video camera with him on this solo hike. It was left in his home, so he had no intention of filming anything. I share this with you for 2 reasons. First, so that you have more of an understanding of who Kenny was and bring you some peace or understanding to the situation. Secondly, if you do decide to go out into our desert and look for him or the M Cave, be careful and bring enough food and water. Walking sticks are a good idea, and not doing a solo hike. Bring a GPS and make sure that you have let family or friends know that you are heading out for the hike and where you will be and when you will be returning. A search really can't be done on a 1-day hike. You would be repeating much of the same hike, just getting up the mountain and then to be left with not many hours in a day to do the search. You would need 2 or 3 days at a time, and in our summer or even late spring. This cannot be done because of the heat of the desert. You would not be able to carry enough water, so please be careful. I had many wonderful experiences with Kenny, and I will always remember them and have a place of love in my heart for him and the wonderful things we did together. I am healing from my loss and look forward to new experiences with desert hiking, camping, and taking beautiful pictures of our desert. Enjoy your adventures of life, and thank you for your kind, loving comments sent my way. Much love, Sharon. When the police first entered Kenny's house after his disappearance, they went to look at his computer. You could tell a lot about a person from their computer or phone. One officer called Sharon over and said, "You got to read this." They had a document that Kenny had typed that read, "Help me." It was typed over and over approximately 60 times. The night before Kenny's disappearance, he and Sharon had went to the movies. In the movie, the main character had committed suicide. She said Kenny seemed very off afterwards. They left in separate cars because they had arrived at the movies separately because of their schedules. She said before Kenny left, she asked him if he was okay. He seemed indifferent, almost like she could tell the gears were turning. The next day he left and was never seen again. So Sharon and the police believe Kenny walked into the desert and committed suicide. He didn't want anyone to find him the way that he had once found his dad. He also just doesn't want to be found, period. Suicide can be very embarrassing to the victim, and he doesn't want to be presented it that way. He just wants to be remembered as this lovable, goofy dude. The next theory is what Kenny's daughter Vicky and the rest of his family believe is what happened to him. And just to cut to the chase, they don't believe Kenny is dead at all. First off, they say Kenny is an entertainer. He loved to have attention and entertain. Is it possible that Kenny made up the whole M Cave story as a way to receive attention? He suddenly had tons of views on his video about the M Cave. YouTube has never revealed if anyone is still receiving any money from Kenny's M Cave video, which today in 2023 has 3 million views. Who would benefit from Kenny's death? Well, it would be whoever is the owner of the life insurance policy. It's not been revealed if Kenny had life insurance, but in the 9 years he's been missing, no one has filed a claim for it. Kenny's daughter thinks there's a chance he is living in Mexico under a different name and that he faked his own death. This would be incredibly hard to pull off, especially for someone who was almost broke. They also think he faked his own death because his phone and some coins were just laying next to the mine shaft very neatly. If he was going to explore the mine shaft, he's likely not going to leave his phone outside. It's his lifeline at this point. That thing would be staying in my hand. I'd use it as a flashlight. In 2018, this is 4 years after Kenny disappeared, Kenny's sister-in-law had her store broken into late at night. It's a store in Las Vegas that sells crystals and magic balls and shit. The person stole an iPad, and that's it. The burglar broke a window with a crowbar. He ran inside very fast, went right to under the desk like he was looking for something, but couldn't find it. He then grabbed the iPad and he ran out. The total amount of time in the store was less than 45 seconds. Well, she had a camera installed and watched the video of the person in the store, and she said that she is 100% convinced that this is Kenny. He looked like him. He had the same fast movements as him. Others believed it was him as well. I watched the video, and it was all in black and white and really hard to see the person's face. I don't know Kenny, so I don't know what his movements are like. Most people say that if Kenny was alive, he certainly wouldn't be in Las Vegas, which is where he's from. He'd be in some foreign country somewhere. A digital forensics team tried to piece together a still shot from the video of Kenny's face against a regular photo of him to see if it's the same person, but it didn't work well because the person was moving so fast on this infrared camera. I'm sure his family is feeling some kind of way if he is alive. Of course, you want him to be alive after all these years, obviously, but I'd be kind of mad at him. He has a daughter and now a little granddaughter who have been wondering for almost 10 years where he is. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but many people believe that because of its proximity to Area 51, Kenny could have likely been a victim of our own government. Perhaps he went back, he found the M Cave, and he stumbled onto something he shouldn't have. The issue is that the government, I think, would just detain you, like hold you for a couple hours and then release you, not kill you. No, I don't trust the government, but I can't see them capturing Kenny and killing him or making him disappear indefinitely. The vibration Kenny felt around the cave, some believe, is a perimeter denial force that the Area 51's folks may have just installed. It's in a mountain, so it could have been seismic activity or just some rocks tumbling around in there. I found this website called kennyveach.com. I thought it might give me some more info about him, but it was just a jumbled mess with a million pop-up windows. I thought my iPad was going to crash as soon as I opened it, and I just hurried up and got off of it. I did some research into the website and found out that 2 years ago it wasn't much better. In fact, there was just like a paragraph that said, "Stop asking about Kenny Veach because he never existed." The whole thing seems weird and probably just some goofball inserting himself into the case. There is a YouTuber named Warlike Wrath, and he has been following this case, and he has some pretty convincing videos about his theories into Kenny's disappearance. I started watching them and just got like sucked into a rabbit hole and had to get out. But another YouTuber named Exploring Abandoned Mines and Unusual Places, that's the name of the channel, Exploring Abandoned Mines and Unusual Places. He posted a video of him discovering what appears to be Kenny's M Cave. It has 1.5 million views. It shows him at the M Cave. I think this is 2021 is when he went and found this M Cave. So it shows him go in, and I got chills thinking that this is the same cave Kenny, who years before may have found, and now he's no longer here. The guy is a professional hiker, and he goes inside, and it's creepy as hell. It looks exactly what you would think the inside of a cave would look like. I thought I saw some scratches on the wall, and a few other people did too, but these could just be naturally occurring patterns in the cave. There's planks of wood on the ground scattered around and big rocks. He's basically crawling on his hands and knees, and I don't think one could stand up in this cave. He spent a few minutes in there and didn't feel the vibrations that Kenny said he felt when he got near the cave. After a few minutes, he moves some stuff around on the ground and sees something flat, and he can tell it's some kind of a metal sign, but it's dirty and hidden under this wood and rocks. He's obviously dying to see what it says. So he pulls it out and he brushes off the metal sign, and there on the sign are the words, "Warning, Area 51 restricted area. Use of deadly force authorized." At this point, he says he felt very unwelcome and just wanted to get out of there. He quickly exits the cave and said he felt something was super wrong in just the 3 or 4 minutes that he was in there. He says he felt like he overstayed. I don't have an answer of what happened to Kenny. Obviously, I hope he's alive and living the good life in Mexico, but I would hope that he would have contacted his daughter. I see him as a happy man, but also very sad. I think he had a lot of demons and hid them so well from everyone else. The fact that he typed "help me" 60 times on a document is heartbreaking. I feel like he was silently crying out for help and didn't want to bother anyone with his problems. And I also feel that suicide is a likely scenario in this case. Kenny, wherever you are missed by your family. That's it for this week, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care, and much love to you all.